Welcome to The Explainer, where today we're diving into the electric mystery of Caldwell 83. Okay, let's jump right into this. We are embarking on a cosmic detective story. And honestly, like any good mystery, things are not exactly as they seem. We're going to look closely at a galaxy that is literally rewriting our understanding of how the universe is structured. We'll be relying directly on some incredible source material, really breaking down the latest data and research to uncover what is actually going on out there in the deep cosmos. You know, when we look up at the night sky, we're basically conditioned to think of gravity as the undisputed king of the cosmos, right? For centuries, our models have been almost entirely mass-centric, just assuming that the gravitational pull of massive objects is the absolute sole architect of galaxies. But I want you to ponder a totally different possibility today. What if we need to look beyond those traditional gravity-based models? What if there are other, invisible cosmic culprits dictating the structure of the universe on a massive scale? To answer that, we have to travel far, far beyond our own Milky Way. Specifically, we need to travel 11 million light years away. That is an absolutely awe-inspiring, staggering distance. Our target is a galaxy known as Caldwell 83, or NGC 4945, which sits deep in the southern sky within the Centaurus constellation. It's actually a member of the Centaurus A group, and despite being 11 million light-years out, it's one of the nearest massive galaxies to our own. But Caldwell 83 is harboring a very dark, incredibly energetic secret right at its core. So, Caldwell 83 is classified as a Seyfert 2 galaxy. Just to ground us real quick, a Seyfert 2 is a type of active galaxy that contains a supermassive black hole at its center, one that's actively feeding and just generating immense energy. But here's the catch with this one. We can't see the core easily at all. From our perspective here on Earth, Caldwell 83 is viewed almost perfectly edge-on. It's got an inclination of over 80 degrees, which means its thick, dusty galactic disk acts like a massive cosmic curtain. It's heavily obscuring that violent active core and the intense starburst ring surrounding it, basically hiding a lot of the action happening right in the center. Now, despite that giant cosmic curtain, we actually have tools that can pierce right through the dust. Take the ALMA channel maps, for instance. These are essentially our first physical clues at the crime scene. We're looking at radio observations of carbon monoxide gas. Think of each little slice of data as representing a different velocity of the galaxy. If you focus on the velocities moving away from the typical rotation of the galaxy, the extremes, the very low and very high numbers, you find these incredibly bright V-like structures. This isn't just gas quietly orbiting a black hole. No, this is gas being violently ejected. Let's break down the sheer violence of what this data is telling us, because it's wild. We're seeing molecular wind plumes traveling at physical speeds of over 600 kilometers per second. To put that into perspective, our absolute fastest human-made jets are practically standing still compared to velocities like that. On top of that, this galaxy is literally bleeding mass. It's ejecting 20 solar masses, so 20 times the mass of our entire sun, of molecular gas every single year. And this cold gas, it's perfectly nested inside a much hotter ionized outflow cone that's emitting soft X-rays where the plasma temperatures reach a blistering 10 million Kelvin. Based on all that kinematic data, scientists went ahead and actually modeled this exact outflow in 3D, revealing a massive hollow cone. As the gas erupts out of the galaxy's central starburst and active galactic nucleus, it travels outward in this highly structured conical shape, which happens to be tilted about 75 degrees away from our line of sight. This geometric precision is really fascinating. Think about it. If a random explosion happens, you'd expect a chaotic, messy sphere of expanding gas, right? But here, we have a highly organized hollow cone stretching thousands of parsecs out into space. So the question is, what exactly is keeping this massive structure perfectly aligned? This forces us to pivot our whole narrative away from the gas itself and look toward the invisible scaffolding that's shaping it. Researchers analyzing the extended halo of Caldwell 83 have found solid evidence of strong, ordered magnetic fields extending thousands of parsecs or kiloparsecs straight out of the plane of the galaxy. We aren't just talking about a weak, generalized galactic halo field here. It's a highly ordered magnetic skeleton acting as the literal structural framework, confining and directing those huge, violent wind plumes. We actually have hard evidence for this framework when we look at the tilted Relic model of an older active galactic nucleus outflow. When astronomers observe this galaxy using radio telescopes, they detect distinct polarized radio emission roughly 2.4 kiloparsecs above and below the galaxy's core. In astrophysics, highly polarized light like this, that's the smoking gun for a strong, ordered magnetic field. It perfectly traces the alignment of relativistic particles being shot right out of the core, confirming that an invisible magnetic cage is indeed shaping these colossal cosmic plumes. But this introduces a fundamental, huge astrophysics mystery, which is perfectly captured by astrophysicist Brian McNamara. He noted, "We've known for the past 15 to 20 years that magnetic fields exist, but we didn't understand how they got there." Think about that for a second. If powerful, kiloparsec-scale magnetic fields are the scaffolding holding these galaxy-spanning winds together, what generates the fields in the first place? Magnetic fields don't just magically pop into existence in the vacuum of space, they require a driving force. So the absolutely crucial point to remember from high school physics is this: where you have magnetic fields, you must have electric currents. This introduces a total paradigm-shifting culprit to our cosmic detective story. It is electricity, not just gravity, that drives these colossal magnetic fields. When we see that perfectly ordered magnetic scaffolding around Caldwell 83, what we are actually looking at is the magnetic byproduct of immense, galaxy-spanning electric currents flowing right through the cosmic plasma. And the scale of this current, it's almost beyond human comprehension. 10 quintillion, that is 10 to the power of 18 amps. Now, back in 1977, the pioneering plasma physicist Hannes Alfvén actually predicted that at the galactic scale, electric currents of this exact mind-blowing magnitude would be entirely natural. Fast forward 40 years, and observations of jets from active galactic nuclei have deduced this exact measurement, 10 to the 18th power amperes of electric current flowing into and out of galaxies in a columnar form. Alfvén's prediction, which he made decades before the technology even existed to prove it, was absolutely spot on. To really understand how electricity moves through the near vacuum of space, we have to look at the concept of a coaxial current. The idea is basically a force-free plasma flow. In cosmic settings, electric current doesn't just flow in one direction, like through a single lonely wire, it flows in a coaxial form. A primary current flow is perfectly matched by a surrounding return current. To demystify this, just think of a relatable everyday analogy: the coaxial cable plugged into the back of your television or your internet router. That cable has an inner wire carrying the signal, surrounded by an outer cylindrical shield carrying the return current. Well, it turns out the universe forms the exact same electrical structures in plasma completely naturally. Let's break down exactly how this builds step by step out there in the interstellar medium. Step 1. An electric field causes charges to move through the low-density cosmic plasma. Step 2. As these charges move, they naturally create a circular magnetic field around themselves. This magnetic field then pinches and constricts the flowing charges. And finally, step 3. This constriction forces the current into a highly stable, narrow cosmic filament. These filaments can stretch for hundreds of light years without broadening or falling apart. They don't dissipate, because the forces of magnetic pressure and the electric current perfectly balance out, organizing cosmic matter through electromagnetism rather than just relying on gravity. This brings us to a really profound paradigm shift in how we understand the source material we've covered today. The old view of the cosmos is almost entirely gravity-dominated, mass-centric, and mechanically structured. It just assumes things fall together purely because they're heavy. But the new view, beautifully supported by the data from Caldwell 83 and deep plasma physics, shows a universe that is plasma-dominated, driven by massive coaxial electric currents, and intricately governed by the rules of electromagnetism. These crazy outflows, the hollow cones, the vast magnetic scaffolding, these are fundamentally electrical phenomena. Which leaves us with a final, completely provocative thought to take away from this explainer. The next time you look up at the stars, you have to ask yourself, are we truly looking up at a dark, empty void filled with just isolated, massive objects pulling at each other in the dark? Or are we in fact living inside a vast, glowing electrical grid, invisibly connected by force-free currents and magnetic scaffolding, powering the cosmos in ways we are literally only just beginning to understand? It completely changes the way you see the sky. Thank you so much for joining me for this deep dive. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.